PNP staff is just one tap.
I am Patricia Medivilla, one of your hosts today.
And also your host, Mary Joy Dimla.
You may be wondering how law enforcers successfully catch their criminal targets just like the following. It all because of skillful crime mapping operations.
So what is crime mapping operations? If Dora has this map, and if you have this map during your elementary days, PNP has this map to catch their targets.
Did you know that by being knowledgeable how to read maps can save not just the civilians but also the lives of law enforcers?
This operation was about serving arrest warrants for high-ranking terrorists, which led to the deaths of 44 members of SAP.
There was alleged news about the incapacity of the SAP to read maps that led them almost fail the operations.
To better understand what our reporters will be discussing all throughout, let's be familiarized with the following terms.
Apprehending criminals. The main function of crime analysis is to support law enforcement endeavors. One of the primary goals of the law enforcement is the apprehension of criminals. Consequently, one of the primary goals of the crime analysis is to assist the apprehension of criminals.
Crime analysis is a law enforcement function that involves systematic analysis for identifying and analyzing patterns and trends in crime and disorder. Information on patterns can help law enforcement agencies deploy resources more effectively and assist detectives in identifying and apprehending suspects. Crime analysis can also play a role in devising solutions to crime problems and formulating crime prevention strategies.
Crime. In a law enforcement agency, the central focus is a crime, both those reported to the police and those that are not. Thus, the central type of data analysis is a crime and the information surrounding it, such as arrests, offenders, victims, property, and evidence.
Crime mapping. This is a term used in policing to refer to the process of conducting spatial analysis within crime analysis. This is the process of using a geographic information system to conduct spatial analysis of crime, problem, and other police-related issues.
Crime mapping services three main functions within crime analysis. Number 1. Facilitates visual and statistical analysis of the spatial nature of crime and other types of events. Number 2. It allows analysts to link unlike data sources together based on common geographic variables. Number 3. It provides maps that help to communicate analysis results.
Evaluate organizational procedure. The fourth goal of crime analysis is assisting with the evaluation of organizational procedure. Several examples include resource allocation, the assessment of crime prevention programs, realigning geographic boundaries, forecasting staffing needs, and developing performance measures for the police department. This is a powerful software tool that allows the user to create any kind of geographic representation from a simple point map to a three-dimensional visualization of spatial or temporal data.
Law enforcement information. In addition to crime, law enforcement agencies address many other issues and thus collect many other types of data. Examples of law enforcement data that are often available for crime analysts are calls for service. Example, noise complaints, burglary, alarms, suspicious activity. Traffic information. Examples, accidents and citations. Citizens' perceptions. Examples, fear of crime, crime prevention, behavior, satisfaction with the police, victimization, probation, records and parole information.
Socio-demographic. This type of information refers to the characteristics of individuals and groups such as sex, race, income, and education. On an individual, micro level, socio-demographic information is used to law enforcement to search for and identify crime suspects. On a macro level, Socio-demographic information is used to determine the characteristics of group and how they relate to crime.
Spatial, the location where crimes or activities occurs and the relationship of those places to one another. And other information is an important factor in the analysis of crime. It is not only important where a crime takes place, but also characteristics of those places of the environment in which the crime occurs. Thus, the examination of spatial data such as street, network, partial information, orthophotographs, school location, business, and residential zoning, among other, is imperative for effective crime analysis.
Prevent crime. Another primary goal of law enforcement is to prevent crime through methods other than apprehension. This goal lends itself particularly well to assistance from crime analysis. For example, members of the police department are conducting a crime prevention campaign about the residential burglary and would like to target their resources in their areas that needs it the most. Crime analysis can assist in the planning community education and patrol response tailored to the problem by providing special analysis of residential burglary, analysis of how, when, and where the burglaries occurred, and analysis of what items were stolen.
Reduce disorder. Many criminologists contend that social disorder can lead to crime, that is, blight and other indicators of social decay left unchecked can attract crime and accelerate further decay. Thus, reducing disorder is a law enforcement objective and, by extension, of one for crime analysis as well. Crime analysis can assist with these efforts by providing research and analysis of disorder indicators such as traffic accidents, noise complaints, or trespass warnings that can assist officers in addressing these issues before they become more serious problems.
Study. It is a systematic way of looking at crime and law enforcement information. That is, crime analysis is not examining information haphazardly, but rather is applying formal analytical and statistical techniques as well as a research methodology to law enforcement information according to the rules of social science.
Now that you are familiar with the terms, let us now deal with the types of crime analysis.
Intelligence analysis. The study of organized criminal activity, whether it is reported to law enforcement to assist investigative personnel in linking people, events, and property. The purpose of intelligence analysis is to assist sworn personnel in the identification of networks and apprehension of individuals to subsequently prevent criminal activity. A related goal is to link information together, prioritize information, identify relationships, and identify areas for further investigation by putting the analysis in a framework that is easy to understand. Much of the information analyzed in the field of intelligence analysis is not reported to the police by citizens, but is gathered by law enforcement. Examples of data collection methods include surveillance, informants, and participant observation.
The study of serial criminals, victims, and their crime scene as well as physical, socio-demographic, psychological, and geographic characteristics to develop patterns that will assist in linking together and solving current serial criminal activity. This type of analysis has also been called profiling, which is the process of constructing a profile of an unknown offender based on the nature of the crime, the facts of the case, and the characteristic of the victim.
As with intelligence analysis, this type of analysis focuses primarily on the qualitative data surrounding serious serial crimes such as murder and rape. The data are collected and analyzed on an individual level for those persons primarily or peripherally involved with the incidents.
The spatial nature of the incidents and related locations, such as the body dump sites or the encounter sites, is also considered.
The primary purpose of the criminal investigative analysis is to develop patterns of serial crimes crossing city, state, and even national boundaries by linking behavior and evidence within and among incidents to catch the offender and/or clear cases.
Tactical crime analysis, the study of recent criminal incidents of potential criminal activity by examining characteristics such as how, when, and where the activity has occurred to assist in the problem solving by developing patterns and trends, identifying investigate leads, suspects, and clearing cases. Tactical crime analysis focuses on information from recent crimes reported to the police. Recent can refer to the last few months or longer periods for specific ongoing problems.
Tactical crime analysis focuses on specific information about each crime such as method of entry, point of entry, suspect action, type of victim, type of weapon used, as well as the date, time, location, and type of location. Field information such as suspicious activity calls for service, criminal trespass warnings, and person with scars, marks, or tattoos collected by officer are also considered in the analysis.
Three purposes of tactical crime analysis are: first, linking cases together and identifying the notable characteristics of patterns and trends. 2. Identifying potential suspects of crime or crime pattern. 3. Clearing cases. Once a crime pattern, suspect, or investigate lead is identified, the information is compiled and disseminated to patrol officers and detectives.
Strategic crime analysis, the study of crime and law enforcement information integrated with social, demographic, and spatial factors to determine long-term patterns of activity, to assist in problem solving as well as research and evaluate responses and procedures.
Strategic crime analysis consists primarily of quantitative analysis of aggregate data, monthly, quarterly, and/or yearly compilation of criminal and non-criminal information such as crimes, call for service, and traffic information are analyzed in aggregate form. Two primary purposes of strategic crime analysis. Number 1, to assist in the identification and analysis of long-term problems such as drug activity or auto theft. Number 2, to conduct studies to investigate or evaluate relevant responses and procedures. Both purposes correspond very well to problem solving. These types of study include: Number 1, evaluation of crime prevention program. Number 2, in-depth examination of a crime problem. Number 3, implementation of a survey of citizens' perceptions of crime and the police. They incorporate pre- and post-measurement as well as both impact and process evaluation methodology. Procedures examined include such as activity, development, and staffing, redistricting of beats or precinct, data entry and integrity, and the reporting process.
In sum, strategic crime analysis uses statistical techniques and research methods to investigate long-term problems and evaluate organizational procedures. Analysts who primarily conduct strategic crime analysis are also called problem or research analysis.
Administrative crime analysis, the presentation of interesting findings of crime research and analysis based on legal, political, and practical concerns to inform audiences within the law enforcement administration, city government or council, and citizens.
Administrative crime analysis is different from the previous type of analysis in that it refers to the presentation of findings rather than to the statistical analysis or research. The decision of what and how to present information is the primary focus of administrative crime analysis.
Often, the type of information that presented represents the tip of the iceberg of all the work and analysis that has previously been done. For example, an executive summary of a report. The purpose of the audience of the information determine what is presented along with legal, political, and practical concerns. The primary purpose of administrative crime analysis is to inform audiences. These audiences may vary from one situation to the next, which is why the type and quantity of information should vary as well. Audiences can be police executives, city council, media, citizen, and neighborhood groups, or a combination.
You may be wondering how law enforcers derive the concept of crime mapping operations. For today, it's another fruitful discussion about the PNP stuff.
So what is the history of crime mapping?
In the 1800s, European researchers who adhered to the school of thought known as the Cartographic School of Criminology examined the levels of crime within different areas and the relationship of these levels to sociological factors such as socioeconomic status. For example, in 1829, Adriano Balbi, an ethnographer and geographer, and Andre Michael Gary, a lawyer, created the first maps of crime using criminal statistics for the years 1825 to 1827 and demographic data from the census.
They examined crimes against property, crimes against persons, and levels of education in France and found that areas with high level of crimes against the property had a low incidence of crimes against people, and that higher numbers of educated people live in areas with more property crime. Also, during this period, the Belgian astronomer and statistician Adolf Quetelet used maps to examine correlation between crime and transportation routes, education levels, and ethnic and cultural variation.
The first substantive spatial analysis of crime in the United States was conducted in the 1920s and 30s by urban sociologists in Chicago. These scholars' spatial analysis of juvenile delinquency and social conditions in Chicago is one of the foremost examples of crime mapping in the first half of the 20th century.
Crime mapping was a theoretical component in the development of the concentric zone model. Researchers found out that gangs were concentrated in parts of the city where social control was weak and social disorganization was high. Most of the early crime mapping focuses on the level of crime by area.
In the late 1960s, scholars began conducting a spatial analysis of crime with the help of large computer systems and unsophisticated visualization methods.
Time where a group of researchers from England, Canada, and the United States focuses their study of crime away from what is traditional, which is examining criminal offender.
This movement affected crime mapping as researchers shifted from aggregate analysis of crime and social factors to the analysis of discrete criminals event and their location, incorporating information about geography and environment.
Client-server technology made geographic information system more available, and this enabled several police departments to experiment with crime mapping in their everyday work.
They promote crime mapping as a way of encouraging community involvement in addressing crime problems.
They developed a system in which thematic maps were created to show changes in crime by the area over time.
Significant improvements in computer technology and police data system made electronic crime mapping a such more practical tool for police and researchers.
GIS software became available for desktop computers as these computers became capable of processing large amounts of data quickly. In addition, police data on crimes, arrests, accidents, and call for service became available electronically through computer-aided dispatch systems. All this development helped to advance the field of crime mapping beyond manual methods and the use of large, costly mainframe mapping systems.
During the mid-1990s, police agency received federal funding to obtain crime mapping technology, and several programs were developed especially to assist police agencies with the implementation of crime mapping. The U.S. Department of Justice Office of the Community-Oriented Police Service, the COPS office, allocated a significant amount of funding to crime mapping software and equipment through a program called MORE, making officer redevelopment effective. The primary objective of the funding was to expand the amount of time current law information officer can expend on community policing by funding technology, equipment, and support staff.
The Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority and the Sociology Department of Loyola described spatial analytic techniques and offered practical advice for both police professionals interested in implementing computer mapping in their agencies and students of spatial analysis. This workshop was one of the first efforts to bring practitioners and researchers together to discuss crime mapping.
Some of the funds provided by MORE grants have been used to purchase crime mapping and GIS hardware and software. The COPS office recognized the important role that crime mapping plays in the depth analysis of community problems. This increased analytic capability improves the capacity of law enforcement to work with the community to develop more effective solutions to crime and social disorder problems.